Hello friends, are you in coronavirus quarantine? Because we are in coronavirus quarantine, but hey, as an introverted crafter, that just says project time. Of course, my brain said, get some yarn, learn to knit, but my UFOs said, girl, get your life together. So I do have two dresses that pretty much ever since that I got them, they are original vintage dresses. They needed a little bit of tweaky care too. So I wanted to go ahead and actually do those little minor repairs today. And maybe tomorrow punch out a couple more of these unfinished projects like backing some quilts. So if you're into watching a lot of hand stitching, let's get to it. This dress is either 30s or 40s. It is definitely rayon, I think a rayon crepe with some really cool pleating details at the hips. It's got a little bit of sun damage that I can't fix, but we can fix this little weak spot right under this belt loop and a little hole right here. So I'm starting at one side of the hole, knotting around the thread so that it doesn't get any looser at any other parts of the dress, working my way down and then knotting the thread at the other end. And I'm just using like a really short version of a basting stitch because I am lazy. And we're doing pretty much the exact same thing on the other side, but paying extra attention to the belt loop to make sure that it's all the way secured in there. This side's just going to be a little bit harder because we're dealing with a lot more what I would call joints in the fabric, but I know that there is another more correct term for it. It'll come to me eventually and I'll feel like an idiot, but when do I not feel like an idiot? And of course I'm doing the lazy method of knotting by looping this string around the needle 3 or 4 times and then pulling it through. Whoever made this did the very rookie mistake we all have done of not letting the skirt hang so that the bias can stretch out. So wherever it is cut to be on the bias, the skirt is just so much longer. And of course that's only talking about the underskirt because the overskirt is, I'm pretty sure it's just a square skirt. So it's not hanging on the bias, so it didn't stretch like that. We're going to need a washable marker and some measuring tape. We are measuring to the hem in the shortest part, and that's going to be 23 inches from the waist. And then we are going to go around marking 23 inches from the waist for this whole quarter of the skirt and connecting those little markings. Realistically, we should do that for the entire skirt after ironing it, but once again, I'm lazy. Do I recommend anybody else using this method? No, absolutely not. This is not the correct way, this is the lazy way. I am laying another quarter of the skirt over the quarter that I marked on and just following those markings down. Is this a wise idea? Not at all. It is a very not wise idea. Do not do this. It might have worked in this instance, but it will not work in every instance. Then of course, folding the skirt in half and copying the markings onto the unmarked half. Once again, don't try this at home, folks. Then get out your handy dandy sewing machine because there is no way you're going to hand stitch all this, and sew the hem to the washable blue mark. I am not using pins because once again, I'm an idiot. And once again, you should not try this at home. The likelihood of human error with that is simply too great for me to recommend. But I am sewing the hem to the blue line in all 4 quarters of the skirt because it just happened to be in 4 quarters that I needed to cut off. And this might take you a while, so I suggest putting on some jams or putting on an audiobook. Not that you could necessarily hear it over the incessant humming of the sewing machine. Then we're taking our handy dandy pinking shears. Once again, pinking is a totally period appropriate method of finishing, and we are just going to cut off that excess fabric, making very, very sure not to cut through the fabric that we're actually keeping. I am considering actually getting some bias lace type stuff. You know what I'm talking about. And sewing that over the pinking to make it more neat and just prettier, but that is a task for another day. And yes, I am saving the fabric scraps in my fabric scraps bag, and I may use it to patch any holes that come up in the underskirt, but they are more than likely going to like fill a stuffed bunny or something. Let me know down in the comments if you have any good ideas what to do with fabric scraps. I am always open. Then of course we're going to tack down the cuff to the sleeve. I'm putting one bit of tacking down at the little triangle point of the cuff, and then one in the middle on both sides of each sleeve. And personally, I feel like the longest part of this tacking process was knotting the thread to keep on making these tacking stitches. So tack, tie, knot the thread, tack, tie, knot the thread, 4 times for each sleeve, so 8 times. Very, very repetitive, but hey, put on some music, put on some TV. Hand stitching can be pretty relaxing that way. This would actually be a really good time to plug an Audible sponsorship if I ever had one. Hint, hint, Audible, I'm open. While sewing, I also noticed that on this dress there was a loose hook and a couple little snappy bits that were a little loose, so I am going to go ahead and re-secure that hook. For these snaps, I am just looping through each of the 4 holes on the snaps. Looping through one hole 2 or 3 times, going to the next hole 2 or 3 times, next and the next, and then knotting it off. And I did that for 2 total snaps. It was actually rather convenient because that was about the exact amount of thread that I needed for this project, was the exact amount of thread that I had already on the needle. So go me! As you can see, the shirt dress is much more wearable now. All the snaps and hooks are well secure, and the underskirt is not peeking out from under that overskirt. It is a little embarrassing that you can see my crinoline, but I have a lot of issues with this crinoline that we will tackle another day. And because you already saw the purple dress on, I just dressed it up a little bit with some white gloves and a pink hat, and I feel like it makes me look 10 times more adultish. I have mixed feelings about that. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you are staying happy and healthy out there. But please, what unfinished projects do you have? Are you gonna be working on them? Are you even quarantined? Is it just us? Please let me know any questions, comments, or concerns down below. New videos come out on Mondays. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye! Bear, who we're pretty sure is just hangry. Are you hangry? Yeah, he's very fussy right now. She's always fussy. You're always fussy.